Hello and welcome back to Warhammer Wednesday here on Paladin Gaming. This is going to be a quick walkthrough of how to magnetize a Rampart City Ruins wall segment, and we're also going to do the magnetization and assembly of the functional flooring, that's new to Rampart to the third wave of Rampart. So here I have a blank wall that hasn't been assembled yet. And here I have a wall that has been assembled and is being used as a master for all the magnet polarities. You can see I got magnets stuck here, here, and here to make sure they are lined up, to make sure all the walls are lined up to each other. I'm using the same master for every one. So we need to start putting magnets in. First things first, we will take care of the end here to get the small pieces out of the way so they're not bouncing around and risking getting lost. So I put a small dot of super glue right there. And then I take the corresponding magnet from the end, and making sure I do not swap it around at all, I stick it to the super glue right there. And there we are. Super glue will hold it after a few seconds. I can stick it to a wall to make sure that the polarity is right, and it is. And that being done, we finish securing it by putting a dot of plastic glue back here behind the magnet. Taking our little other half of the magnet chamber here, putting a dot of super glue on there to make sure that the magnet remains secure. And we just sandwich this together over the magnet like so. And as you can see, the magnet protrudes a little bit. That's okay because the magnets and the pillars will be inset. So that being done, we move on to the pillar. So there's sockets on the pillars, and they are really tight on a 5mm round magnet. So I take one of these 5x3mm rounds off of here, and again making sure I do not reverse the polarity. I put it here on the pillar and squeeze it into the hole as best I can, which is not very good. And to get it in there the rest of the way, I have to take a hammer and basically beat it in there. That gets it even, but we want it to be inset. Let me cap my glue here while we're doing this. So I am going to take this chainsaw file that I've used to file down. Sprue connectors, and use it as an awl to tap this in. Yep. And there we are. The magnet is all the way to the bottom of the pillar and inset, as you can see. Now we do the same thing with the other pillar half. This is going to be a little harder because the pillars go together with a peg and hole system, and the loose halves have the pegs, so it won't sit flat on the table. So to hold it steady, I have this here piece of cardboard that's already had holes punched in it from the previous pegs, and I put it in there. I take a magnet. Polarity's still lined up. Yes, it is. Again, made it onto the pillar and give it a couple good whacks with a hammer. And tap it in there with our improvised awl. And there we are. And we make sure that's right. If it was wrong, they're really tight, but I could get it out by drilling in there with a Dremel and pushing it out from the back side. I haven't had to do that, but that is how I would do it if I did mess one up. So that being done, we come to the trickiest part, which is putting in the third magnet on the end. The reason this is tricky, and this is essential, is because there's already a magnet here, and it's going to want to flip the loose magnet we're putting in around to line up with it, which will put it backwards to the one at the end of the wall. And we cannot allow that to happen. So we put a good drop of super glue right there. Take our magnet, and we got to put it in there, and it is fighting me. We got to hold it onto that drop of super glue until the super glue sets enough to keep it from flipping around, because when I was putting it in there, it was fighting me. It was trying to turn the magnet around, and we can't allow that to happen. So it doesn't take very long. That should be long enough. I let go, and sure enough, the magnet is secure. We double check our polarity just in case. That is matching up just fine. So now we apply super glue to, now we apply plastic glue to the holes here, and the pegs from the pillars will slot right in. Make sure you get it right side up. You can tell which side is the bottom by the brackets at the bottom of each pillar. Just slide it in there, and the plastic glue will adhere and hold it in place. And finally, we gotta do the top and bottom. So I put a drop of super glue in the top, in the magnet chamber on the top, and I take one of these 5x5 millimeter magnets that I have lined up to the top of our master and just drop it in there. Those are not so tight that you need a hammer, thankfully. And same with the bottom. We put a drop of super glue in the bottom of the chamber. And we can just mate it up like so and slide it sideways off. That way there can be no mistakes. Make sure it's inset. And there we are. That is a complete wall segment. And now we're going to move on to, we are going to move on to the functional floor, the new functional flooring, which is new in this third edition of the Rampart terrain. And the whole functional flooring system rotates around these connectors. They go together like Lego. The central hole matches up to the magnet holes in the pillars, and each floor segment has little corresponding pegs that go into who match to the holes in the corners. Now the critical thing is to get a magnet, and since we're doing this with magnets, the critical thing is to get a magnet secured in the central hole. This is a 5x6 millimeter magnet that I got as an experiment. I got a pack of these as an experiment in putting larger magnets loose in the pillars for the foundry, but I discovered that 6 millimeters is too long for it to freely spin inside the pillar. So I had to abandon that idea and stick with 5x5. But this is 6 millimeters thick when the whole assembly is together, so it's working out for me now. A smaller magnet would do, but I'm going to use these to get rid of them. So I just smear some super glue around the inside of the thing, and I mate this in there. When it's sticking out of one side and even with the other. Now we gotta wait for that to dry before we put it together. But I already did some so it doesn't glue itself together. But I already did some earlier. So let's assemble ourselves a little lower floor here. Real quick. And we take our flooring and these little We take our flooring. Each one of these has a magnet in it. Each one of these connectors has a magnet in it, and these little frame pieces are designed to eliminate the gaps that appear in the outside wall if you just use the floor. So this all snaps together like Lego. And our floor piece will just slot right into there. Again, like Lego, and it will just mate to the... I put that one on upside down. Oops. And that will just mate to the floor. That will just mate to the tops of the pillars. And then we can put a second story on, and there you go. There we are, a little two-story building. The toppers can still go on there, and the toppers can still go on there. I realized that got out of frame. And there we are. A little two-story construction. Whole thing held together with magnets. So that is that for this. That is that for this edition of Rampart Construction on for Warhammer Wednesday here on Paladin Gaming. This is going up in the morning, and the usual episode of Dawn of War 2, play co-op with Silver Raptor, will go up this afternoon at 5 o'clock Eastern. So, this has been the morning Warhammer Wednesday here on Paladin Gaming. This is Paladin Gaming signing off. The Emperor protects.